Hi, welcome to my garden. My name is Sydney. I garden in the Sonoran Desert of southern Arizona, Zone 9B, and today we're going to do a garden tour. This is kind of as backed up of a shot as we can get to kind of get a visual of the whole garden. What I will say is that my succession planting skills could use a little bit of work. I have a lot of beds that are empty that I've recently harvested all my fall stuff from. So, that's one of our good problems to have. We can grow year round. It's good and bad. You're constantly flipping things and being able to plant things out. It can be a little overwhelming to think of what's going to go in that spot next. So there's some empty spots, but there's also a lot of stuff that's really full and beautiful. We're going to start here. This is right off the back door from the patio. I should have focused my efforts here if I was going to make any one spot full. That way it'd be beautiful for us to look out the window. But I did sow some seeds for some loofah and some melons to go up this arch trellis. So hopefully soon that will be all filled out and in its full glory. This bed here is pretty much empty. I already took out my fall brassicas. I had some cauliflower and some broccoli. I didn't actually get anything from it. They kind of went straight to flower. I still have some shallots there in the back. And then I have some potatoes coming up. This bed right next to it, I have some sweet alyssum and some, I never know the difference between violas and pansies, but it's one of those that I started from seed. I started the alyssum from seed as well. And then I have some of my leftover winter greens. I've got romaine and butter crunch lettuce that is bolting. I am leaving them because I'm kind of hoping for some chaos next year and having some lettuce come up everywhere. Next, I have my two green stalks. This is the this is the terracotta leaf. And this is the terracotta original. I'm using this one mostly for herbs. I do have some onions in here. I harvested carrots from out of here already, but you see I have like chives here. I have cilantro that's bolting. We've got some parsley, chamomile, more onions. I just planted this sage. We've got some thyme. So yeah, like I said, this one is mostly going to be for herbs. And then here I've got some remnants of the winter and fall garden. There's some brassicas in here that I'm not sure if they have enough time to give me something before it gets too hot. Spring is pretty much over for us here. It is April 13th and we had our first 90-degree weather day a couple of days ago, and every year you're just not ready. So I'm sure we'll be in the triple digits before we know it. I should address everything that I have on the floor. I have some carrots that ended up on the ground while I was seeding carrots in my green stalk. I have some, I'm pretty sure those are all going to be my violas or pansies, whichever one it was, that were in here. Marigolds from last year, sunflowers from last year kind of popping up everywhere. And then here, I'm pretty sure, it's flowering. It is. I've got some of my Linaria fairy bouquet coming up here in the rocks. So I just kind of wanted to chaotically see what would happen, and I haven't pulled anything up. If I can tell what it is, I've pretty much left it. Back here, as you come through the green stalks, I've got 2 1x3 beds that I made out of fence pickets. I have them filled with ranunculus and daffodil. It's very sad. This ranunculus was supposed to all be pink, and this bed came up in orange and yellow and one pink one, and these ones all came up pink. They were supposed to be symmetrical, but none of my ranunculus pretty much throughout the garden came up in the right colors. It's very sad. Here's another bed back here that I have emptied of the fall stuff. I had cauliflowers back here. I got a good harvest out of those. And then in the very back, I just recently popped in some green bell pepper on the sides. I had some extra garlic that I popped in on the sides. And then I did come in recently and sowed some green beans to grow up these trellises here. I'm gonna grow green beans up these trellises. I don't know. I need to look it up because I sowed a variety of different kinds of beans and the germination rate was not good. I have a feeling that maybe beans have a lower germination rate in general, and I just need to go in a little heavier next time. In the very back, I have a cherry tomato. I don't even remember. It is a tropical sunset cherry, so I can't wait for this to be all full. I have a potato coming up in the middle, so I'm not really sure what else I can squeeze in here that I will be okay with. Pretty much the idea that I might kill it when I harvest those potatoes, so I'll think of something quick to pop in there. Here on this matching side, I have still some of my fall stuff in here. I've got a red acre cabbage. I have kale. I don't remember if this one is the lacinato or the dazzling blue. That tag says broccoli, so I don't know. And then I have a purple sprouting broccoli in there. Underplanted, I have some Roma tomatoes that I bought from Home Depot, and I separated them out. So it's good that there's still a lot of shade to help with the transplant shock. They're starting to bounce back. See if we can get them close. These Roma tomatoes are starting to bounce back. All these leaves were droopy and not happy from the transplant and separating those out. But I see some fresh growth up here, up top, so that's exciting. And then I have, these ones are onions. I have some shallots. And then there are some various Brussels sprouts that I see down here. In this bed, none of the green beans I sowed came up. So we'll think of something else to grow up this trellis. Back here, this is a 4x4 bed. I made this one, like the other ones, out of fence pickets. I have a Colette climbing rose there in the back. Round of applause for me. I finally buried and secured my obelisk back there. I didn't bury it 12 inches. I probably buried it 8 inches deep. So hopefully that's sturdy enough. But our soil kind of turns into concrete once the rainy season is over and all the moisture's gone. So I'm feeling hopeful that it'll be sturdy. The flowers I have in here, I have the Wizard of Oz dahlias and the Cafe Olay dahlia. I have my floret zinnias in here, the precious metals. These were on sale at Home Depot, 3 for $15. These are without a tag. I think these are called super bells something. And then I seeded in between some dwarf white cosmos, and in the very back I seeded hot biscuits amaranth. There's this bed and this bed right next to it. Here I have my hot peppers and my tomatillos. I also have zinnias in the middle. Oh, and there's a bud on here that is so exciting. So hopefully we get some zinnias soon. This middle bed here is all flowers. I planted this up in the fall, so I have snapdragons, different colors of ranunculus, a freesia blend. There are some violas in here as well, kind of fading. And then front in my pots, I have some alliums. This one I have a, double scoop echinacea in the middle that I planted in the fall, and I didn't know if it was going to come back because it was really small when I got it, and it dropped all of its leaves and the branches were hair thin, so I just didn't have a lot of trust that it was going to come up, and then I started seeing green growth, so that was really exciting. And then I have more ranunculus in here. This here is taking its sweet time to come on back, so we'll see what's happening with that. But this is like a decorative pink hibiscus. Right behind us, I have my bell peppers back here that I planted for the warm season. And in the cool season, I still have some of that left over. I have my carrots. Those are in the back. This is more Linaria Fairy Bouquet. This is all set to seed, so I'm sure I'm in danger, and this is going to reseed everywhere. And then along the edges, I put onions. Over here, nothing super exciting to see. This is garlic. Back over here by the green stalks. Through here, I have 2 cinder block beds. I really do like the look of them. Obviously, they were very affordable, and we went with putting the toppers on top, and it does make like the perfect little seat. But lately I've had my wheels turning that I'm wasting a lot of planting space with the cinder blocks, because this is taking up a 4x8 space, but I can actually grow in like a 2.5 by 6.5 space. So I might replace that with something else down the line this fall or next year, something like that. We'll see how I feel about that as time goes on. I have another tunnel over here. I'm going to be growing indeterminate tomatoes up them. I have some, let's go to this one first. I still have some remnants of fall. I've got some mini red romaines. Those I harvested a couple from the other bed I showed you in the beginning where I had lettuces, and they are so pretty. I really enjoyed it. Nothing special that I can remember about the flavor, but the core, the inside is green and the outer leaves are red. So when you chop it up and eat it, it's really pretty. So I've got some of that lettuce. I've got more zinnias, a marigold. I've got some sugar snap peas around this tomato trellis. And then I've got 4 tomatoes to each bed. So there's 1 in each of these tomato towers over here, and then 1 to each arch trellis, which those are 3 feet wide, the arch trellis themselves. So that's why I only put 2, because that gives each tomato 1.5 feet. More garlic, more lettuce. This is Marvel of 4th season. It makes kind of like more of an iceberg round head versus like the romaine type head. And then I have some chickpeas or garbanzo beans that I stuck in here from the grocery store. Another tomato in there, of course. And then I am looking in here. I had marigolds in here last year, and they're coming up absolutely everywhere, including in the ground. Back here, this is giving me life. I have sweet peas back here. They took them a long time. I planted them in the fall. I did transplant them, and I know that it's better to direct sow, so maybe that's what took them so long. Also, this bed in winter is like 100% shade. So they really started taking off as soon as the sun position and the sky started shifting, and this started getting more long hours of sun. And the same as the other side. Each arch trellis has 2 tomatoes, and then the tomato towers on the side have another tomato. And I'm noticing there's a tomato here. This should be an Abe Lincoln. If we swing around, I have red Russian kale on this side, dazzling blue kale on that side, and alyssum that's been here for over a year, so she's looking rough. It might be time to pull that one out. I have a romaine that I harvested that's poking back up. And then I don't remember, this is some kind of squash or zucchini. So this bed back here, I have my sauce tomatoes, more zinnias. I'm going to trail cucumbers out the front. And then I did seed some green beans in here, but they kind of came up sporadically. So I'm pretty sure these ones were, I think these ones back here were black beans. So I did see a couple come up, but not as many as I put. And then out front in my pots, I'm going to be growing sweet potatoes in each one of those pots. And then those are my fall flowers, so we'll see if those make it or if I end up having to switch those out. So turning back around, there are the 2 cinder block beds, and I have another green stalk here. This is the color rusted red, and this is a leaf version, the ones with the shorter planting space but more pockets. It doesn't have a tag. I think this is a viola. I've got seascape strawberries on the top. some various onions, and then I did plant a parsley down in it. This one is not really full. This was another thing that was kind of pretty much in shade all winter, so I'm not really sure what I'm gonna fill this all out with just yet. Back here I have 2 3x4 beds. I planted them pretty much the same. Well, I planted all the flowers the same, and then they have different squash in them. Those ones have zucchini, a hybrid type that's supposed to be like I think it's a Romanesco zucchini, and then this one is the same but the regular heirloom version, and then I have a patty pan type squash in there. I have some Sunset Beach green beans that's gonna grow up this obelisk that says it's gonna have pink flowers. And then the flowers that I have growing in here, I have the cocoa gold marigolds in the back on both beds, and then I have in the middle and on the sides the Kilimanjaro marigold, white creamy marigold, and then I have zinnias in here. I believe I put the red in here, the scarlet zinnias, Benary's giant, and then with the squash, just some French marigolds to hopefully maybe mask the smell from the pests that like your squashes as much as you do. Back here in this green stock, I do have some carrots still from winter, and then I've started planting flowers in here. So I have these strawberry blonde marigolds in here, and then I think I also put cosmos. I think I put the dwarf white in here. I put some bunching onions on the top, and I think that's it so far. I'll probably fill this with just more herbs and flowers. The next row of bed, we've got these ones that are about 5 feet long, 2 feet wide. I have some garlic in the front, 2 red acre cabbages, and then in the middle there, as I pulled out, it was either another it was a broccoli that went straight to seed, so I didn't even get a broccoli. I seeded some pinto beans for these trellises that I made, but they did not come up. So we have this space for something else. Back here in this bed, I have a massive broccoli plant in the middle and some red acre cabbages. I have one on this side and one right behind this broccoli plant. Onions, chamomile, just kind of random. I also recently seeded a butternut squash to grow up this trellis. That'd be fun. I have more garbanzo beans. I wasn't sure if they would be, because I got them from the grocery store, like the regular bag that you would buy to cook and eat. So I didn't know if they would grow pole or bush. So I put them up against this trellis, but it looks like these are going to be more like a bush bean. Some of this is bolting. I was going to use this as cut and come again, but then I kind of timed it right at the same time as I was getting full heads from my other stuff that I planted in the fall. So I haven't really used this too much. And then of course, as soon as you do harvest it, in combination with that was at the same time as we started getting more sunlight as spring was approaching. So it just kind of exploded. I did harvest some, had more sun. Now they're big, and more garlic. Back here, I have 2, I think I put the habanada back here. I have 2 habanada peppers in here, and then various potatoes and chamomile. I didn't actually realize I put a potato right there. That's pretty close. So I'm probably not going to get everything when I harvest that and avoid this area with my peppers that I will be keeping. I have I'm not going to turn the camera because my trellis, when I was painting it, my obelisk back there, that black one, I had it over here, and on a windy day it blew over and crushed this container, but it has mint and ranunculus, the same as that one back there, mint and ranunculus. So there's kind of the back perspective of the garden. We've gone through all the aisles, so now we're gonna do let's do this back row, swing around to that side over there, and then we'll end back over here. So I have trees in containers. We have this ginormous native tree back here. It's really nice it feels nice to have a native tree here that's huge, that can provide shelter and forage and I do see birds on here all the time, but I sometimes imagine what it would be like to not have this tree and to be able to put a fruit orchard in its place. But such is life. That is not our situation. So I have my trees and I've got 2 citrus over here. We used to have like 4 citrus when we first started this garden, but we didn't have them on drip and didn't take care of them like at all. And these 2 out of the 4 survived. And now it's been about a year or so that I repotted them and put them on drip and started taking care of them. So they're starting to rebound. With that being said, I don't know what kind of citrus these are because they were always way too stressed to give fruit and always dropped them. So hopefully we get some fruit this year so I can know what we have and what survived. Back here, I have, oh, don't look at all my weeds back there, okay? Please, don't judge me. I am losing the battle. I understand. Look straight ahead. I have this garden bed here that we still haven't taken apart. So I decided to, instead of piling all the wood up in the corner like I did with all the other beds that we took apart, and that's just because it's regular untreated pine wood. So they definitely started falling apart after a few years, but I left it intact to use these trellises. And I have tomatoes growing underneath. They didn't have labels, so I don't know what they are. Hopefully they are indeterminate and that wasn't a waste. That one definitely looks like it is. I also seeded some more of the Sunset Beach green beans. This was newly planted this fall. My peach tree. It doesn't have leaves, but it does have a couple of peaches. A lot of people would probably pull those off, but I would love peach. So I'm going to leave it. If the plant can't handle it, it will drop it. That's what I tell myself. Back here in this bird bath, I did clear some of the gravel out of the way and plant up some flowers. I had some Dusty Miller that I had in the front yard, just like for Christmas, with red and white petunias. I didn't realize Dusty Miller were perennial though, and I can't kill it. I probably should have looked up how big they get, but you know, you can always move something. So I've got Dusty Miller. I've got some violas. I seeded some cosmos, and I think that's it. I can see I have a bunch of sunflowers coming up all around here. That is probably courtesy of our little bird friends. Also, some of these weeds I'm leaving. I seeded some wildflowers, and I don't actually know what they're going to look like. And I might regret this because I'm pretty sure this is a weed, but it's got a purple flower and it's pretty. So I kind of left that. And then I can also see some pansies or violas that seeded themselves coming up. So obviously leaving those for the chaos. Here is my dwarf apple tree. I might actually eventually put this in the ground somewhere in here and espalier it. This is a Fuji apple tree. It doesn't have a pollinator right now. I was thinking of trying my hand at grafting and grafting a pollinator branch on it. For this one, a suitable pollinator would be the Gala apple. And I really do like the Fuji and the Gala apples. Those are pretty much the ones that I would buy if I was at the grocery store. So that is all good with me. We've made it back over here with my rose and my shadow. Let's go all the way to the back to my little flower patch. So I've got some nasturtiums in the front, finally starting to throw some flowers. You know, I can't really tell you plant by plant because a lot of this was chaos. You can see daffodil foliage, and on this one and that one right there, those are gladiola foliage. I planted sunflowers in the very back of the wall. That specific variety is supposed to get 10 to 14 feet tall. So I'm hoping to have a sunflower forest back here and seeded throughout. I did throw some native seeds. Hard to tell between that and, hey! Well, that was not very ladylike. Colette. I threw some wildflower native seeds back there. I have purposefully planted some things. I've got some salvias that are little. I've got 3 salvias. I have some dahlias I started from seed. I recently popped in 2 more cafe au lait dahlias in the back, in the middle of the obelisk is going to be a clematis. And then I have the Queenie lime red zinnias. Back here I have 3 of them. Some poppy peony double blend. And then just various seeds out here. So everything is probably way too close. I just kept having more and more things that I wanted to put in here. So we'll see how this turns out in the end. This is newly established. Just this, I would say, January. I believe I did this in January. Coming back this way up against the wall, I have various sunflowers going. Here is my asparagus bed. I have mostly asparagus, and then I have some leeks here in the front. These asparagus were just barely planted this year, so they're not going to be very big yet, so I can kind of steal little corners for other things. I'm going to be finalizing this trellis and putting it in place. I'm just kind of a procrastinator, and I'm going to be growing, hopefully, I'm going to be growing Armenian cucumbers. Back here, I've got this in-ground bed. I've got this giant rosemary. We had it previously in a grow bag, and it started growing into the ground, and I cut off probably at least 1/3 of it. So I kind of have to keep an eye on this and keep it in check so it doesn't take up this whole area. I'm leaving this open. I'm supposed to be having some lavenders that are named Layla, and that is because I have my Colette climbing rose named after my dog, and then my sister's dog's name is Layla, so I wanted some Layla lavender in here. But I've got sunflowers in the very back and yarrow. I also have a peony in the middle. I did not do any research. I'm pretty sure that peony is going to fry. Peace be with you. Maybe the yarrow can save you. Back here, I've got a lot of my fall stuff still. I did harvest one. This is the market something, the classic big fat green cabbage. So I grabbed one of those. I still have another one there behind these carrots. Right here. And then I have another one over here. This one is way far behind. There's some holes in the leaves. I think I'm sharing this with something. So this one might not get harvested. I've got some carrots I need to grab. Leeks. I did plant 2 hot peppers. Yeah, I believe I put 2 hot peppers and an eggplant in here. There's a big broccoli in the back. This is a wine grape. Before I knew the difference between a wine and a table grape, I bought this. It has a seed, but you'll see on the other side, I did end up getting some table grapes, but this is a Merlot. And then here's more sunflowers. That is a thing of dog food from the freezer. We forgot to take it out, so I was hoping the sun could help us defrost that. All right, so now we're back over here on this side. This wall shades all these plants from Western sun, so these get that glorious, delicious morning sun. So I have this newly made bed. I did record that, but I just made this bed. And I have in there, again, some leftover tomatoes. I don't exactly know what they are. Those 2 in the middle, don't think those are going to be indeterminate, but the 2 on the end definitely are getting bigger, so I think those are indeterminate. And then I just popped in some orange watermelon seeds. It said you can put them 12 to 36 inches apart, so I have 3 in here. I have 2 of these beds. These ones I got off of Amazon, and they were so cheap. They actually came with, on the other side where my grapes and my asparagus were, those 2 beds. This was a 3-tier situation, so all 3 tiers were supposed to be on one bed, but I split them up, and these were only $150. I can tell that the metal is a lot thinner, and it's not as good of quality as my Birdie's beds, but 1, I was really looking for something 2-tiered, and 2, you almost can't complain with how much cheaper these were. But either way, I'm happy with these, and I'm happy with my Birdie's. So these are my berry beds. I have Seascape strawberries. I just found this at Home Depot. How beautiful. Strawberries with pink flowers. I said, sign me the heck up. So I got that. I've got pink ranunculus. These ones are all coming up pink, so that's good because that's what they were supposed to be. And then in the very back, I have 2 pollinator compatible blueberry plants. I have the O'Neill and the Sharp Blue. And then in the middle, I have a cranberry double Cosmo. I have this in-ground space back here. This is about 3.5 feet wide, 11 feet long. So on either side, I have an artichoke plant. Up here, obviously, you can see I got lots of chamomile, marigolds that are coming up from last year, gladiolas in the back, and then up against this wall, growing up that trellis, is going to be my Thompson seedless green grape. This is green mist on me. And then I do have some, oh, where's the other one? There it is. Whoops. I have some more yarrow back here. Achillea is the other name that it might be on in the plant center. Oh, that says green globe artichokes. So don't think I know the name of this yarrow anymore. Green mist on me. I did also plant some that I see coming up. I have some dahlias. I think those are the Cornell ball red ones. I have my flame seedless grape. That's a red one. These are both table grapes, by the way. Weeds. My other artichoke. My other gladiolas. And then I think that's it for now. I am leaving a lot of this open to see what tickles my fancy for warm season. And then this is an exact match of the other berry bed, except here, this flower is blooming. So you can see, besides just a picture, that's what got me right there. How beautiful. Very happy with this purchase. Hopefully they're as tasty as they are beautiful. Finishing it out, even though they're not full yet. I have 2 new beds going in here. I'm going to be planting my floret dahlias back here. I got the petite florets dahlias that are going to go in this 2.5 by 6 foot bed. And then here, this 4x4 bed. I was originally going to put it with just flowers, but I decided that it would be a really good idea to use this, at least just this year, for my corn, since it is 4x4. I've heard conflicting answers that the smallest you can go is like a 10 by 10. I've heard 4x4. I've heard 3x3. 4x4 is pretty much what I can give it. So hopefully I get some good corn this year. Thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you on the next video. Please do share any comments, suggestions, feedbacks down below, and I would be happy to chat with you more down there. Bye.